Hey there, my name is Jason Bradley. You may recognize my voice from such places as the Community Solutions Podcast, which, by the way, you're listening to now. Before we begin, can I bend your ear for just a moment? We want to bring you the very best in quality and information each week. You can help us achieve that level of greatness. If you sell something, want to announce something, or try to convince others to vote for you, consider advertising on the Community Solutions Podcast. You can email us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com, and we'd love to help you tell everyone about what you do. Once again, that's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. Let us be your solution to increase sales. We thank you ahead of time for your consideration. Okay, enough yammering. On with the show.
Cover, Clarence. Clarence? Huh? Hold the mail.
Aloha from the sunny, tropical metropolis of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, we're just west of there in Plymouth. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. I am Jason Bradley, as always, my friend Andrew Richter.
Hey, we are on location again. We make the rounds everywhere. Now we're in Plymouth. We've done it from a lot of different locations, coming to a town near you.
That's true. The Get Ready tour is getting geared up to go, I tell you what.
We got to come up with a better name for it, but yeah, you're right.
Well, that was just off the cuff, but oh my word. So, wow, what a big week for news. And that's local too. I mean, coming off of the Easter break, everybody's kind of getting back into the swing of things, and we were thinking about what to bring you this week. And a few weeks ago, I don't know if you had read my article on...
and judging by our numbers, you read it.
Well, that's true. It was my first in a series of regional development articles about the Northwest Regional Development Commission and about how they're pushing out to the people of the northwest corner of the state there comprehensive plans and all of the stuff that we see here that the Met Council is pushing. So that got us to thinking a bit. Why don't we just take a step back and let's look at a random city from somewhere up in that area and see how the comp plan maybe compares to what we're used to seeing here in the cities, because we talk about that a lot, how you go anywhere and these comp plans are exactly the same. Well, I think it's time we put our money where our mouth is and we prove it. We're going to go through Roseau, Minnesota today.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Roseau's in the northwest corner, right on the border, right south of Canada. Mm-hmm. You're way up there, probably a good 6-7 hour drive from here. Maybe longer, depending on how you go.
In case we got anybody from that corner of the state up there, I'm just going to speak your language for a moment, and this is all about you, so
that's right.
You better pay attention.
That's right.
Okay?
You're putting ear done.
Yeah.
Right. and like you said, I mean, Roseau, you'd think, is a city that wouldn't have much in common with a suburb, say, of Minneapolis, or, a big city like Rochester or Duluth.
Right.
I mean, you'd think just culturally, you'd think jobs-wise, you'd think demographics-wise.
Right.
There'd be very few things that would identify Roseau with anything urban or suburban. It's a rather small city. It's Pimple out in northwest Minnesota. I mean, it really is. And you look at suburbs with 20, 30,000 people, and it's nothing close to living in a smaller town. So we think.
Right. And you think in the cities we could make an argument for, okay, we got 23, 25, 42,000 people within a city. We might need to put some sort of organization about how we're going to manage the city and where we want to build what and this and that. We're talking about a city that is, as of 2010, last time they did a census, 2,633 people lived in that city.
Now, Jay, is that a market increase or decrease from, say, the 60s, 70s, and 80s? Is this one of these towns like Buffalo that's grown and was, a couple hundred people at one time? Or is this a city that has kind of maintained a close population for years and decades?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. If you go back to 1970... Roseau has grown since 1970. I mean, less than 100 people, but it's grown.
Less than 100 people in 2 generations.
Yeah.
That's like hitting 1 home run this year and doubling your total and hitting 2 next year.
Yeah, exactly. That's like Pat Putnam back in the 80s. So.
Boy,
yeah.
What a reference.
Oh, boy. Nobody's going to understand that. Okay, so, we've got a place that's 2,600 people, and as I was kind of peeking ahead a little bit, I cheated, I'll admit, they don't really have any type of land use laws like you would find in the cities, like where we have things divided up into residential and commercial and industrial. They don't really have that.
Interesting.
And in Roseau, it's a city surrounded by a bunch of townships. It's a small town in a rural area. They're known for hockey. I mean, they got that going for them.
Without a doubt. They absolutely are. Have been for a long, long time.
Yeah. And as we look at some of the other things that Roseau is, I know in here they talk about wanting to be diverse. As of 2010, they were 97.6% white.
Now, is diverse in race? Is that also in age? Is it also in income?
It could be all of that. Yeah, I suppose that could be all of that. But yeah, I mean, they've got a pretty low rate of 31% of people hold a bachelor's degree. Although only 7.9% of people are below the poverty level, median income sitting about $55,000. So that's nothing to sneeze at. Up in that corner of the state, cost of living is going to be a lot less, and so that's not bad.
Well, we know Polaris is their big employer too, which is and it's the seat of Roseau County, where you have a lot of county workers, a lot of public school workers. So it's not a surprise that they're not kind of all over the place as far as wealth goes. Right.
If we look at the political makeup of the area, we see Trump won in that area by 64%.
No, this is 1A.
This is 1A, the very topmost corner of the state in the West.
If you're going to look this up or anything, you're looking at Senate District 1, the A seat.
Yes.
Yep.
And so that is from the Canadian border on down, from the North Dakota border on over. It's kind of a rectangle.
Yeah, you got Warroad, you've got Roseau, and then I know Thief River Falls is up there. That might be in the B section. Same thing with Crookston. But, I mean, that's the general area. It's a lot of land mass, but not a lot of cities. A lot of townships, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
You were saying about the political...
Right, and so Trump won with 64% up there. Colin Peterson did get 55%. That's still not very convincing. I mean, he won. Okay,
so that's Congressional District 7 representative.
Yep, that's the U.S. representative. So he did win in 1A. Again, it was by about 2,000 votes.
Personally, I think your average liberal Democrat would not get 55% of the vote.
Right.
Nobody from Minneapolis would get 55%. Nobody from Duluth would get 55%. He might, but I think your average Democrat won't get anything close to that.
No.
As evidenced by the state representative race.
Absolutely.
I know you're going to next.
Actually, first we'll do state senator.
Oh.
Okay. Mark Johnson, the Republican, won with 64%.
And I think he might have been a first-time candidate. I don't know.
Okay.
I'd have to look that up, but I don't think he is one that's... I know Dan Fabian, who you're going to get to, has been there for a while, which might account for some of the... Because Mark Johnson got the same vote as Trump, but Fabian did better, and I think he's been a longer...
Yeah.
That might account for it. And Colin Peterson, of course, has been there since, 1992 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And it is always harder to unseat somebody that's been there a while.
Yeah.
An incumbent just always seems to get an upper hand.
Advantage. Unless we're against them.
Well, that's true. Dan Fabian, the 1A state representative, got 74.24%. And so you can see it's a pretty strong Republican area.
Yeah, and I think
Colin Peterson's the only one that
right. It's I think it's pretty culturally conservative. I think it's typical. I think you find 100 communities like that across Minnesota.
Right. And so we've got all these small towns that make up 1A in a very conservative area. You see where, a city like Roseau would probably pull a lot of the votes and kind of command what happens in that area. But yet, what happens when we get down to the city level? And as we always say, we don't check what happens in our cities. And for some reason, we allow these things to go right under our nose unnoticed. And I'm gonna argue that I'm willing to bet. Now, maybe I looked ahead and cheated.
Yeah, I'm not taking a bet from you on
but that the city council in Roseau is at least somewhat liberal.
Judging by what we're about to talk about, there's a reason I won't bet you on that.
Well, just looking at their city values.
Well, and let me back up here. Liberal, because council races are nonpartisan.
Right.
You might not read this and read into it what you and I would read into it.
Right.
You might read this shiny little document that we're doing and not really see much wrong with it.
Right.
You got to know what to look for.
Right. And granted, the first one they wrote was in 2000. The second one that they wrote was in 2010. They'll write one again in 2020. But here's the deal. These things are still in the document. They have not been edited out. They have not made any amendments. This is the document. This is what they are aspiring to. So you either need to make your city council people defend it, or say no, we don't believe in that, and put some pressure on them to speak out against it. Right in this document, it lists the city values, one of which is progressive. In order for the city to have a bright future, we must be progressive in our thinking and our approach to leadership and planning. Now, if you know anything about politics, if you don't know anything about politics, you might think progressive is a good thing because it means we're making progress. If you know something about progressives, it means there are progressive Republicans or progressive Democrats. Whether you're a Theodore Roosevelt or
John
McCain, any of that, or whether you are, a progressive Democrat like a Hillary Clinton or a Barack Obama or whatever. They come on both sides of the aisle, but what they do is make it so that government is the solution to every problem. And sometimes I would argue they create a solution
in search of a problem. Absolutely they do. Because to them, the ends justify the means. Doesn't matter how we get there. Doesn't matter how we get to single-payer health care. Doesn't matter how we get to cap and trade. We just get there.
Right.
Whether we have to pass a law, do an executive order, go around the law, do it at the local level, do it at the state level, who cares? Same result.
Yes.
So ultimately, progressive, that's certainly a word. I can't believe that anybody of conservative ilk would have allowed that to go in there without red flags flying everywhere.
Right.
Because that right there is a political statement. No matter what they say, progressive in your thinking means liberal in your thinking.
Yes.
Means big government in your thinking. Now, again, whether you subscribe to that or not isn't the issue. if they said we need to be conservative in our thinking in something, I doubt you would ever see that.
Right.
You'd never see that.
We need to take a small government approach to increase liberty.
Right.
You know,
where do you see that in any plan?
Oh, never.
You wouldn't see that. You didn't see that in a Republican plan. Okay,
no.
Let's just be honest here. You wouldn't. I mean, it would be filled with a lot of the same buzzwords. It might mean something different to them. But yeah, I mean, that is head scratching that you see that there, regardless of Roseau where it is. You know, I'd expect that in Minneapolis.
Yes.
Wouldn't expect it in Roseau.
No. You know, and a lot of this stuff, like I say, we've said this at the beginning. We've said this for a long time. It's the same from comp plan to comp plan to comp plan.
You want to make a case for plagiarism, okay? Line up community development directors, and I could give them all life sentences.
Yeah, well, this one's no different. And as we get into this, we're gonna find this out, you know, and even down to saying that progressive is one of your city values. This isn't the first time we've seen this. I know we've talked about Hutchinson's plan before. That's right in their plan as well, and they have all conservative representation outside of the city council as well. So this just proves our point once again that at the city level, when things are nonpartisan, the liberals, the Democrats have gone in and captured these seats under.
They've filled the vacuum that they can't get the state rep seats. They can't beat Dan Fabian at 74%. So they take over the city councils down below them.
And they implement the things that can't get passed at the higher
state
levels.
level. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what's going on.
Exactly. So if you don't think these seats are important, they're important because they're making decisions based on things that you don't agree with.
If you don't think these seats are important, you are a 110% babbling idiot. Put it that way.
Wow. Well, there you have it. If you're saying, hey, I don't care out there. Yeah. If you're out there and saying, hey, I don't care about this, well, there you are. You heard it from Andrew.
You can change the channel.
Oh boy. All right. Why don't we just pick a couple of sections and we'll go through this and see what we come up with. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think the biggest things that were eye-popping to me, and again, if you want to follow along, city.roseau.mn.us is the website. Their comprehensive plan is right there.
Yeah.
I think the things where there's three sections that always stick out to me.
Right.
One is land use, the other is housing, the other is transportation.
Yes.
I mean, you're going to see the same things in parks and trails. Keep them, beautify them, whatever. I mean, they're not going to say, let's have fewer parks or let's trash the parks or whatever. But that's kind of standard. The things that amaze me, especially the housing, because you touched on the land use a little bit with the zoning, and they don't zone it the way that we do, say, in the cities. Housing is a place. Now, if you're in a city that's grown 100 people since 1970, your housing goals or, comprehensive plan should be pretty small.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a city that's going to quadruple in size. This isn't Lakeville. Okay, this is not a place. This is not a first or second ring suburb. So you don't have the issues of housing that, say, a Crystal or New Hope might have. So you shouldn't see the same goals and policies, you think.
Right.
But when I see their goals, policies, and programs, I'm going to tell you something. Sirens are going off behind me. Because, again, we talked about plagiarism. Listen to this.
Okay.
Encourage zoning and developments that result in a wide range of housing types and styles, including both owner-occupied and rental units. Now, I have seen something like that. I don't know what a housing type is. That townhomes, apartment buildings? Are they all different types?
Yeah, those are different types of housing.
Okay, you're in a city of 2,600. How many housing types? You've grown 100 people in 47 years. How many housing types are you going to push? I mean, I don't owner-occupied and rental units. I mean, what is there? Maybe one apartment building, maybe there. Senior, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a strange thing to have in there, because I would assume a lot of the people who live in Roseau own homes because that's where they're going to be. They're not going to rent and then go to the nearest town a year later, because that would be 40 miles away. They'd have to get a new job. It doesn't seem practical to me to promote renting unless it's senior housing or assisted living. But again, what's the demand for that in a small city like Roseau? So that statement there, which was clearly taken from somewhere else, no Roseau resident came up with that, obviously. That's head scratching just from the start. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it is head scratching because, to think about being in a small town and you want all this high density stuff, or you want mixed use development, or they do throw in the other things that they have there. Your single family occupied, your mobile homes, you
might have that. Yeah. But again, they can all be owner occupied, even if they're mobile homes.
Right.
I mean, the strange. Let me go to the second one because it kind of dovetails into that.
Okay.
Provide incentives to builders and homeowners to build or purchase homes in the city to meet future demands for new housing. Mm-hmm. What are the future demands for new housing?
Well,
you've got a city that's grown 100 people in 47 years. So they need 40 more houses until the year 2060.
Yeah.
So and providing incentives is a buzzword that you see a lot. And to me, that is crony capitalism. Right. That's, if you want to build here, I will give you a break to do it, but I won't give you to do it to build here.
Yeah.
That is not the free market.
No.
That's not capitalism. That is public-private partnership. That is some sort of it's crony capitalism. It's not letting the market decide who builds a home and whether it's owned or what.
Now, I know we pick on Grand Rapids a lot, but you drive into the town, and I don't know if they still are up, but you would see the signs for tax-free development. Now,
they're still
that is a great idea. Coming in, be able to develop tax-free.
And as long as everybody can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. But to pick and choose where, who, how,
and you've seen how much Grand Rapids has grown.
Yeah.
Whether we like what's going on from a city council level and their whether they're really doing good or not, you can see the economic benefit to that. And here's another thing: some cities maybe don't want to get very big. They like the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Grand Rapids is one of those cities which is a lot bigger, about 10,000 people, but they have a kind of an old end of town and a new end of town. So you kind of have the best. You kind of have both worlds in it. If you want the small town feel, you go to the north side. If you want the more I don't know if suburban life is the way to put it, but you go to the southern part. So it's kind of a double thing in that. But that's what the residents there have chosen to do, which is a lot different than a city council directing. The future demands for new housing. I mean that right there is just another kind of thing that makes you kind of just shake your head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in their argument for wanting all this new housing, I mean, they say that a major problem with the city's housing stock is the overall limited number of units available, their age, the extremely small size and functional obsolescence of many units. Well, I don't understand why there is a limited number of units available because, the city has only grown a little less than 100 people over 40 years. It had a couple of little spikes in there when the economy was doing really good. And by spikes, I mean, it got up to 200, 300. And now it's come down from that. And so shouldn't there be 200, 300 units available?
You'd think that. I mean,
well, maybe not that many. I mean, when you're looking at a population in families,
50, maybe 75.
Average, people per unit is like 2.2.
Yeah, because you have empty nesters and you have people who are widowed. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a touchy thing because I think a lot of small towns want to stay that way, and I think it's up to. I always said this is up to individuals to take care of their own homes. It really, what are you going to do? Tear down every home you don't like and rebuild it at taxpayer expense?
Well, and maybe that's what they're talking about because
it is.
Today, there's a surplus of housing in the lower income ranges and a shortage of housing to meet the needs of higher income individuals because incomes have gone up because it's the same people that have been there for...
So why don't you buy a house and add on to it? I mean, isn't that possible too?
Or if you are making enough money to pay to build your own house, then go buy a lot and build your own house.
Maybe that's what, again, he said, providing incentives as long as everybody can do it. We have this area of town. You'd like to buy a lot? We'll give the same deal to everybody.
Right. But no, instead what happens, and this happens in the cities all the time, is they have one builder come in, lay down all of the water, the gas, everything. They get everything ready. They make the streets. Everything is ready to go. And all you got to do is come in, pick what you want from what model home, and we're ready to go. Plop her down.
Yeah, and you see that here. Pursue options to remove existing substandard housing. Substandard housing by what definition?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing if I think, and again, that's EDA is what they're talking about, with new or substantially rehabilitated units. Now, I think there is a role for government to play in this. I think there are some houses that the free market isn't dealing with. There are some houses, there are occasions, and I believe they're rare, where you have a house falling apart, nobody can live in it, nobody wants to buy it and redo it. That's the time for government. There's got to be a period of time that this has to happen.
Right.
But there has to be, I feel government purchasing a home should be a last resort,
right,
not a first resort. And the way I'm reading, pursue options to remove existing substandard housing by whatever definition means they're going to take the initiative to do it. They got an unoccupied house that they don't like, bam, they're in there buying it. And I think that's where, again, the sirens go off. Because we used to deal with this in Crystal, where somebody would say the owner of a home was widowed and he passed away. Bang! There's the city of Crystal trying to buy the old council. Right. It doesn't happen anymore like that. They haven't bought a property in a while under Mayor Adams and the current council. But and it's like, well, wait a minute here. I mean, somebody still owns that. It may be their children or whoever.
And now if it's gone to the bank owns it.
Right. And maybe the bank wants to do something with it. But boom, maybe they'd like to sell it. Maybe the house was paid for. And the bank can sell it, get it off real cheap.
And let me ask you a question here. How many advertisements, emails do you get every week saying, hey, learn how to flip a house?
Oh, God. I could check my junk mail right now and show you 100.
So why, if this is such a popular thing, are we pressuring, let's go in and do something as a government?
I think it's so government can get what it wants, where it wants, and shut out anybody else from the process.
Yeah, it's a revenue generator, too. I mean, not initially up front because they usually overpay and they undersell. They'll pay whatever they need to get for the property.
True, but sometimes they're the only ones bidding.
Right.
Keep that in mind. They don't always overpay.
Yeah.
And sometimes the construction company will defer the demolition costs. And throw this on there too. What they'll claim is when a new house goes in, that increases the value of the houses around it, which is a government trick. Yeah. It's a temporary bump that in 2 years is gone.
Right.
And they'll increase the property tax revenue, and that goes city, county, school district. They all have a vested interest. We went through this in Crystal. When the city of Crystal bought the Kavanaugh area, it never went on the market.
No.
That's one of the things that is one of the little known things is that the school district went directly to say, do you want this?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Bang. The deal was done. So we don't know what that privately could have become. It's become a senior building or whatever it is, but 55 plus. But why did the city want that? Well, probably to generate the most revenue, because they can zone that a little differently. It's not residential, it's R1 or R2 or something. And now that becomes revenue producing, way more than if you'd have put 6 houses there.
Right.
So, the way they word that tells me that that's what they want to do. Maybe they don't always do it. Maybe it's something they haven't done and they want to do, but it tells me they want to get their hands on houses they don't like, or they're waiting for somebody to die, or whatever. I mean, I probably shouldn't put it that way, but they're waiting for that house to be unoccupied, or some excuse.
Foreclosures and all of it. Yeah.
Some excuse to go in there and take it. That's how I read that.
Well, you're right. And we know that you're right because we've seen it happen in front of our eyes countless times.
You go anywhere. New Hope with the old Hosterman site.
Yeah.
Same thing. What are they putting up? Townhomes and, the same, not quite Winnetka Green, but it's the same concept. Because New Hope's changed their density laws. So those are now medium density, not high density. It's something they changed a few years ago, thinking nobody would notice.
Hocus pocus.
And you can, let's jump out of housing for real quick, because what's a big thing you're going to find in comprehensive plans? Always transportation.
Absolutely.
And as with every other city you see, transportation is not just roads. Okay. I mean, in Roseau, it's aviation. It is... I think they have aviation, rail. They do have 2 railroads that go through there. It's highways. They have county roads. And they have streets, sidewalks. And mentions of transit.
Yes.
Of course, again, you're in a city in the middle of nowhere. You can't get there by walking or biking. And part of their goals, Section 9.2, improve transit options to and from Roseau. Improve them, there aren't any.
Right.
So I take that to mean create them.
Right.
And in the next part, they pretty much say that. Lobby the state and federal governments for some type of transit service. Oh, well.
Air, rail, or bus.
Air, rail, or bus. So we're going to have an air transit service.
Well, there we go.
Flying every day from Roseau to Minneapolis so people go to the Twins game.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
But, what does lobby the state and federal government mean to me? It means get them to pay for it. Go there, get their tax dollars. To put it in there.
Get it in an appropriations bill.
It's like, you want a bus service? Why don't you make one?
Yeah. Nobody's stopping you from doing it.
And my guess is the reason they don't is because they know they won't make money.
Right.
They know the residents don't want it, don't care about it, don't need it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, putting that in there. And then they keep going. Lobby the state of Minnesota and the Department of Transportation to upgrade and improve TH-89 and TH-11, something highway. I don't know what that means exactly.
Trunk highway.
Well, a trunk highway is that the responsibility of MnDOT?
No.
I don't know. What's a trunk highway? 55 is a trunk highway.
55 is a trunk highway. You have 53, which goes from Duluth out to the Iron Range. That's a trunk highway.
Okay. So, who's responsible for... is that a MnDOT responsibility? I don't know.
I would guess it is.
Probably.
Because take 53. So it starts in Duluth, over by Miller Hill Mall.
I've driven it.
Yeah. and you go up through all these small towns like Twig and Cherry and Solway Township and these places aren't going to be able to afford to pay to fix a highway.
Right.
So I would assume it is under MnDOT.
Okay. Well, again, lobby the state to upgrade and improve. It doesn't really say with what.
Yeah. What are you upgrading to? It's
is the lane capacity not good? Is the road falling apart? Is and again, are there problems inside Roseau with these? I mean, it's not MnDOT's job to put up a stop sign or a street sign or a street light. I mean, that's really not their...
No.
They do say a little bit later that critical deficiencies in highway status improve safety, drainage, and aesthetics. So they need to plant trees, or what does that mean? Put a few bushes, roseberry bushes up there. That's also something
aesthetics.
Strange.
I mean, for something like that, you're not going to have sound walls built. You're not going to, maybe lakes and ponds and I don't know, clear some brush, have somebody come out and cut the lawn once in a while. I don't know. Going back to your other point with the upgrading of the trunk highways, they want to upgrade it to an interregional corridor status. So anytime we're talking about corridors and transportation, they're really talking about how you get from one place to another.
Right.
So
they're all linked to something somehow.
Right.
Like a big spider web.
Sometimes, it means it's like a shipping lane, and I don't mean like on Lake Superior. I mean like with semi-trucks.
Passing lanes are possible. I know that's happened on 169 going north of Mille Lacs. They've done that, and they've added. Sometimes they'll add something to bridges, more weight, things like that. Because certain trucks can't go certain routes, and that can thin things out. Sometimes they'll make a section of a 2-lane, a 4-lane. I've seen that happen too. It is kind of weird how, the aesthetics. I mean, you're talking about highways,
right?
I mean, through nothing up north. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I mean,
we're going to paint the road yellow in this part because it looks nice.
We need more billboards, saying stop here and get your live bait. I mean, I don't.
Wall drug up ahead.
Oh, gee.
Oh, yeah. That's a pretty sight on the way out that way. Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Right by with the Corn Palace.
Oh.
Yeah, but as you can see, I mean, it's a lot of similarities between this and that,
and they want to maintain and expand the recreational trail system. I mean, how often have we seen that where, Three Rivers Park is wanting to build a trail across cities, or, we have to connect parks with a greenway, or...
Remember, this is for a place of 2,600 residents. Okay? We're not talking about the West Metro where there's 350,000 or 1 million people if you go all the way out to like Elk River and all that area. I mean, this is all for a very small group of people, and why they need tons of parks and trails. I mean, even if everybody used them every day in the summer, it still would not justify the cost and to maintain, take them off the tax rolls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I understand about wanting to preserve some park land or upgrade something or whatever. That's one thing, but I mean, this to lay down new stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, is kind of like, wait a minute, you live in a wilderness. Why do you need a specific tax-funded trail?
Yeah.
First off, it's a want, not a need, and I mean, we should.
That's true.
Say that too.
That is true. So there is a municipal airport in Roseau, and so they want to accommodate the aircraft up to a business jet, and I think that's what they're talking about with commuter air. And I don't get it. I don't understand. Crystal doesn't. Their airport doesn't allow jets.
No.
Granted, we have, MSP not that far away. I don't remember if Flying Cloud allows jets or not.
I think they do.
Blaine, I don't remember if they allow jets in Blaine.
They don't. St. Cloud's airport does.
St. Cloud, well, yeah, that's a little bigger city.
Rochester's airport does because of the Mayo.
Yeah.
Duluth's does. You'll find the bigger cities, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 people, they'll be the ones who... there's an airport in Grand Rapids. I don't know what that takes, but...
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a dumb question. Who's flying into Roseau on a corporate jet?
Polaris Industries.
Aren't they taking their Polaris...
snowmobiles up there?
What's the point of...
Maybe. There's really not anything else that I know of up there that... Marvin Windows.
But I mean, does it show on there what the airport use is right now? Because you'd figure it would be very small planes. You'd figure it'd be storage. Yeah. It would be a lot of private use, maybe some military.
Healthcare, like air ambulance, UPS for shipping, DNR Fire Patrol, the state of Minnesota, obviously, recreational users.
I suppose like the National Guard could land there or something.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
isn't that enough use for one airport? I mean, are they starving for... I mean, it doesn't make sense to... Why don't they expand their own usage? Why don't they find more uses for what they have rather than... trying to get something, I don't know. It's strange to me. Let me jump back to housing for a minute. Housing and development options. Now, you tell me if you've heard this before.
Okay.
They've come up with a new neighborhood plan.
Ooh. In
a mock site. Okay, talk about manipulating the free market.
Yeah.
They approach new neighborhood development. Again, what neighborhoods they're developing in a city of 2,600 people, I have no idea. Link existing neighborhoods. How many do they have?
For 2,600 people? Let's see.
What's that? The size of the Skyway and the Twin Oak area in Crystal?
Well, let's compare this. I grew up, and maybe wasn't quite as rural of a town. Proctor, Minnesota had outside of Duluth, 3,600 maybe. I think they had one, maybe two neighborhoods. If I remember right, there's a place.
Okay, so put it this way: you've got in Crystal the Twin Oak neighborhood and the Skyway neighborhood.
Yeah,
that's probably a few thousand residents right there. That's what we're talking about, a city.
Right.
So what are you doing to link? What are they doing to link these? Okay. And downtown to developing areas, wherever they are, incorporate a mix of housing types, commercial properties, accommodate special needs and assisted living houses, and provide public green space. Now, I know suburbs that don't do that.
Right.
How in the world is Roseau going to do that?
I don't know. They're going to have to take land, and they're going to have to
You're going to have to rebuild the city. You're going to have to tear half of it down and rebuild it. That's what you're going to have to do to make this vision for the future. Roseau vision for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a map here, and there's plenty of green space surrounding Roseau, and they've got a golf course in the middle of it. There's some parks, there's athletic fields. There is a lot of green space around Roseau, and their communities are not that, I don't know, I mean... I might not see a lot of green space in there, but when you move into a community, I mean, obviously, when you live on a single house lot, you have the ability to plant shrubs.
Well, and keep in mind, right in the city here, you've got a golf course, you've got city parks, you've got a school that I'm sure has ball fields and soccer fields and whatever. Maybe up there it's mostly hockey rinks, but whatever. You've got a gathering space, you've got a fairgrounds. I mean, what more there needs to be preserved? That's not a big land mass or any kind of thing like that. So it's kind of, again, this is where I come back to who in Roseau came up with us. I mean, Does that sound like something a planning commission would say, or residents would write at an open house? We need to connect our neighborhoods through strong trails and sidewalks, combined with a mix of housing types for assisted living. Does that sound like something anybody there would say?
No.
So, who's doing this? I mean, who's making this stuff up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and well, we know. I mean, it comes from the American Planning Association. It comes through National League of Cities into the Minnesota League of Cities, and it comes down through all the member cities then of these organizations, because they're pushing for a lot of these same things.
They'll go to their workshops, and when you see things like go get money or lobby, that means there's grant money out there, free money out there to go grab.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's amazing. I mean, just looking through this for this little bit of time, how many things that we're able to pull out of it, just in those two sections, that we find everywhere in all these comp plans. And I know as I was kind of paging through the land use area, they talked about the ability to annex the territories around them as it was advantageous for the city of Roseau. So you might move out to one of the townships around Roseau, and bing, someday you're part of Roseau.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, when they talk about land use, they actually have 13 target areas. Again, this is in a city of 2,600 people.
Crystal is 20?
23, I believe.
Okay, 23.
I mean, you have existing residential development areas. You have Christian school property. You have subdivisions. You have farm property. You have some undeveloped land. I don't know, that's all within city limits. You have some land off railroads. You have mixed residential and commercial. There's land by the Roseau River. All land that's being targeted for... And again, let's be clear here. The comprehensive plan should be a thing of possibilities. Not things that you're pushing to implement, but things that could happen. This land might be developed in 10 years. If it is developed, what are the possibilities of what could go there? Not manipulating to make it happen. But saying, okay, take Crystal. There is a legitimate reason to target the airport. Well, what if it's closed in 10 years? What are we going to do?
Right.
Well, we all know the old council was lobbying to close it, and that's two completely different things. What if, Kavanaugh School became available? What could go there? What might go there? Who might come in? I think it's legitimate for cities to look at things like that. I think what's illegitimate is to say, okay, we're going to target this for high-density housing, and we ain't putting nothing else there. And when it becomes available, we're going to buy it, and we're not going to let it go to anybody else. That's an abuse of power.
Yes, it is.
So, this is just, we've looked at two sections in one city. What about if we, and I remember, I don't want to do it because it's already put me in a bad enough mode, but if we looked at other cities up there that we mentioned, Crookston, Thief River Falls, Warroad, whatever others, I can't remember the other cities that we named that are in 1A and 1B, what do you want to bet we're going to find very similar things, similar worded things?
Absolutely, because they're all part of the same regional government, which belongs to MADO, which we've talked about, and the Minnesota Association of Development Organizations, who is pushing out to all 10 of their regional development organizations the same stuff. So you're finding the same stuff all over the state, and they're grabbing stuff from all over the place. And MADO says that in their 2016 plan that they came up with, that, we went out and we looked at comprehensive plans from all over the place, and we took what we liked.
Well, of course they did. They're all the same thing.
Yeah.
So they looked at 5 of them, and found those 5 things.
So congratulations, Minnesota. Congratulations, Roseau. I mean, you are reaping the benefits of what regional government
benefits
is doing to your
quotes.
city.
Benefits in air quotes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like air quotes on the radio.
Yeah, I should have said that. So,
I mean, let's wrap this up here. I'm just saying, look, folks, we've talked about this ad nauseum. We've blogged about this ad nauseum, and we wanted to sit here to show you one example of where it's going on. There's 853 cities in Minnesota, Jay, and what do you want to bet? All 853 have something in there about housing diversity or street grant money or future needs for this or that, housing types, mixed use, encouraging active living and transit. I mean, it's in every single one without exception.
Yeah, it is, every single one, and we can pretty much put money on that.
Find me one that doesn't say it. That's my challenge to listeners.
I mean, you might find a very small town that doesn't have a comp plan. Maybe like Tower doesn't have one.
True, but somebody will come in and fill that vacuum. Be it the county, be it the nearest big city.
That's true.
Be it one of these regional things we've talked about. Somebody's come in there and filled that vacuum. You may not have a community development department in a city of 600 people.
Yeah.
You might have shared services with other city, but I guarantee you, somebody's planning something somewhere.
Yep.
Period.
That's a good way to put it. Somebody's planning something somewhere.
And it ain't good. I'm just going to say it ain't good.
No.
A-I-N-T. Ain't.
We can get away with using words like that. That's all right.
No question.
Absolutely. Well, so there you have it. I mean, we just at random decided today, hey, let's pick a comp plan, let's take a look at it, see what happens for fun. And look at the fun. Look what we got out of that.
And literally, we did this a half an hour before going on the air here. It's not like we sat here and researched this for 3 weeks.
No.
And so we looked through this and said, there's our next subject.
Yep. We pulled a city literally out of the air, and here we go, And so I'm sure that we could do this for the next 852 podcasts, and you'd have the same podcast for 852 with a different name.
Even I'd get bored of that.
But we thought it was useful for you to understand that this is happening. And it really doesn't matter whether you live in Edina or whether you live in Crookston, whether you live in Sudan or whether you live in Bloomington. These things are going on.
Yeah, in Sudan, the camels would be the transit.
Well, not that Sudan. Oh. I mean the one up north by Tower. Oh, my word. Castle Danger, the best name of any city ever. I'm sure you have a comp plan, and I'm sure it's terrible.
That's got to be.
Yeah, it's true. So we're going to wrap it up because we could go on to other sections of this, but you already have the idea. So that's why it's important for you to get on your planning commissions. Go down to City Hall. Find out where the
and like we keep saying, the comprehensive plan for 10-year plannings. They have to, the ones in the metropolitan area have to submit by December 31st, 2017. They're putting those groups together now. If they haven't already, you got to get on that, no doubt about it.
Absolutely, got to get on those groups, got to get in the planning commissions. If you can't get into those, get into the Park and Rec Board, because that has input. Get onto Environment Quality Commission.
Attend the meetings, go to the open forum if you have questions.
Yeah.
Things like that. We'll wrap this up. Solutions with 2 M's.
Yes.
MN.com.
You're going to take my job. I'm going to have nothing to do.
I've never actually said that once out loud.
You never have.
You always are the website guy. Solutions with 2 M's. MN.com.
Yep, and likewise, if you see anything happening in your city that you'd like us to look into, talk about on the air, you want to tell us, hey, I stepped up into a commission, we'd love to hear from you. I ran for office, I won, I lost, we'd love to hear from you. Email us. Same deal with 2 M's, comsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's comsolutionsmn@gmail.com. And let's start working to take this state back and make it deal in common sense again.
Boy, we either do that or we're going to die trying.
That's the idea. So thank you again. We can't do this without you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for inputting and sending us stuff. We love to hear from you. We will talk to you in another week. Don't you go anywhere. Thank you and good night.